everybody. Welcome. My name is 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of California. And today I have with me Camille. Me and Camille actually know each other for a while now. We were part of a professional organization, is kind of how we met. And then we've had some overlap in other ways as well over the years. But it is a good thing. I don't know, Camille, if you want to chime in, but I'll give you a second to introduce yourself. But professional organizations, as in private practice, and just clinicians in general, it is important to have colleagues and others that you can, meet and network with. And professional organizations for therapists are one of the ways that we do that. So I am beyond thrilled that we were able to meet that way, and looking forward to kind of introducing people to you and the work that you do. So without further ado, Camille, I'll turn it over to you just to introduce yourself real fast and what your niches are, kind of what populations you work with.
Okay, sure. Yeah, my name's Camille Campbell, and I am a private practice clinician in San Francisco. I've been in business since 2017. And my private practice, I work with adults, people who are 18 years up to like, I guess I have 90, right? But
Wow.
yeah. And when I was doing my training, I did a fair amount of training in geriatric clinical support. So I definitely like have a niche of that in my practice, but it's not my only focus. I mean, I love working with adults in transitions in general. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is actually one of our overlaps, right? We both were involved with Curry Senior Center. I'm on the
Yes.
board currently, and you've been heavily involved in the past in some of their programs as well, which is for older adults in the San Francisco area
Yeah.
services. So Camille, to that end, could you just maybe, or I guess slightly different, but could you share how you kind of, mentioned a little bit of how what you're working with, but how did you get involved in therapy? How did you decide that that was the path you wanted to take and the journey you wanted to go on?
Yeah, I'm trying to think like what were kind of the seed moments maybe in my earlier life. Because it wasn't a direct path. I did have another career before I became a clinician. But I was thinking about it, and I think I read I had this really funky high school teacher that got me interested in philosophy and psychology, and I read Jung's Memories, Dreams, and Reflections when I was
Mhm.
a teenager. And I think at the time I was a little confused because I he was a physician, and so I thought, oh, to do this psychotherapy thing, you have to be a doctor. And so I don't think that I really like solidified that like it was a career path that I could follow at that time, but it got me really interested in psychology. And I went to major in psychology in undergrad, but when I got there they were running rats and mazes in the psychology department, and I was like, "Whoa, this is not for me." I switched my major to philosophy. So yeah, but then many years later, after a career in HR, I decided that I really wanted to pivot my whole life. I didn't want to be in the corporate world anymore, and so I went to get a master's degree in counseling psychology. Yeah,
Hmm. All right. And was that all in the Bay Area or?
yeah. I went to a school that doesn't exist anymore. It was called JFK, and it was started by kind of some free thinkers in the '60s, ultimately to be acquired by National University
Oh,
maybe about 8 years ago, and they kind of shuttered the program. It was a great program. It was somatically oriented, so a lot of like neuroscience, interpersonal neurobiology, and body-based psychotherapy. It's
yeah.
great. That was really fun. It was a fun ride. Too bad it's not around anymore.
Fair, fair. So Camille, what do you like about being a therapist? Like what are the things that you enjoy about the role?
Yeah, I really enjoy people's eccentricities. Like I've always been attracted to people that kind of go, walk to the beat of their own drum.
Mhm.
And that's what I kind of see as psychotherapy. Like for the way I work with it is I want people to be able to come more into their own authentic expression of themselves. And so I find that really fun. I mean, that's how I've felt liberated by the therapy that I've participated in. And so I love that part of it, I think.
Uh-huh. It's kind of that space to just show up as you want to show up without having to kind of have a mask on or have some sort of kind of space between you and the person.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what your actual lived experience is, and then also how you want to move forward in your life to express your uniqueness or your values, you know?
Yeah. So, what are some of the modalities that you like to use with those that you work with? Like, are there
Yeah, okay.
particular ones?
This is a good question because like there's the ones that I probably use a lot, and then there's the ones that I really like. And there's not, you can't always use the ones that you like depending on like what you're working with folks or why they're in therapy, right? So, but I think my favorites are ones that are more playful.
Mhm.
And I think that a lot of our lives we're in like we're in work mode, and that's pretty narrow. Or maybe we're in learn mode, which is wider than work mode, but it's still pretty focused. And then there's play mode, which is just spontaneity and present moment and all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, so the two that I love the most are dreams. I love working with dreams.
Mm.
And I also really like working with active imagination, which also both dreams and active imagination, as I work with it, come from a Jungian oriented perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it didn't go too far from the Jungian roots.
No, the seeds were planted.
Sure. So how would that look like when you're talking about like dreams? Like somebody comes in, they tell you, some dream that happened, and
Yeah.
what do you?
Yeah. Well, a lot of times it's I have to sort of set the stage that like, oh, it would be cool to talk about dreams, or if you have a dream and you remember a dream, it might be worthwhile to bring it into therapy. So it's sort of like, getting someone actually interested in their dreams, and then they'd have to remember, maybe they'll remember them, but then they don't write it down and they can't. So even a fragment though, even like a real tiny piece of a dream can still, be so interesting to talk about with someone. And so, yeah, we'll just talk about like we talk about like a dream ego, like the person that you are in the dream.
Mm,
So what was the dream ego's experience of the setting of the dream? Like what was their affect? What was the mood? Like was it scary? Were you anxious? Were you stressed? Or was it like, exciting and thrilling and adventurous? And so like what was your experience of the dream? And then like what are the characters in the dream and how does it resolve or not resolve? Because sometimes they don't resolve.
mhm,
And so, and then how can all of this maybe tell us something about unconscious aspects of your experience that your psyche might want you to explore more deeply?
mhm. Yeah, I love that. It's so interesting. I'm one of those people that remembers my dreams most
Okay.
mornings. And
Yeah.
so I love the play. And then I would imagine too, I mean, at least I see with my own dreams, there's themes, like certain phases of my life, there's like certain themes that kind of are always, in there. Do you find that with people that kind of track?
Yeah. Yeah. And those are kind of like where we talk about like the archetypal or the patterns that are very universal to human experience. And so like someone might go through a period of time where they're having birth dreams, it's related to kind of like what is being born in their life right now. With maybe they just changed jobs, maybe they just got married. I don't know. Like there could be all kinds of reasons why someone's having birth dreams. Yeah, so definitely I see themes and I'm looking for them. Yeah.
Mhm. And are you doing this mostly virtually or are you doing this in person as well?
Yeah, I am at this point, my practice is 100% virtual, although I do have the ability to meet with people in person if they would want to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you tap into that kind of playful side outside of the dreams, with people in their own space? Like, how do you kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny is I actually use this online sand tray tool. I don't have you heard of it? It's
Oh,
onlinesandtray.com.
oh, that's
So
easy to
just
remember.
yeah, just to kind of introduce the idea of play, and to like push through the sense of like this is silly, like I'm, because people are still in work mode. They come into their therapy session and they're like, we have to have results. And so the online sand tray, it's really cool because you can do it interactively through the shared screen on Zoom.
Mhm.
And what I really asked them to do is go through, there's a whole library of little figurines.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and they're like, some of them are really fantastical, and some of them are like firemen and, workers in the city and buildings and Godzilla. And so the idea is you make your own play space in the sand, which is just basically part of the screen, and then you can put water features
Very
and
cool.
so it's kind of fun. And it creates sort of this mandala of a snapshot of like what's in their psyche at that moment,
Uh,
even though they're not thinking about it that way. They're just like, oh, I think I want to put that there, And
Yeah.
sometimes they can be deeply revealing of like some underlying anxiety or hope or yeah. And so we'll talk about it and what it felt like to do it. And yeah, it kind of eases people into that play space.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, I think we need more play in this world, especially these days.
Gosh.
Everything's
Yeah.
tough, so it's nice to have a space to kind of let that outlet and go. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to check that out for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's free. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, why not? Okay, so what does a session look like for you? Somebody comes, what is it kind of, is it organic? Do you have kind of, yeah, I would imagine
Yeah.
with the play it's more organic, but
Yeah, it's very organic. I don't follow any kind of manualized treatment paradigm. I really want, their psyche to lead the sessions. And so I don't know, I might even be kind of quiet in the beginning to see, where they want to take things. But that said, it does depend on each person. And if people are dealing with more acute issues, then perhaps I become more directive. But yeah, if we're working in more on an exploratory level, right, rather than a crisis, then yeah, it's pretty much they kind of take the lead.
hmm yeah. Um, okay, sorry, I'm gonna check my cheat sheet here, make sure I get all the questions. Is there something, yeah, that surprises you about therapy?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like an onion that you just keep peeling, especially even with my own development as a clinician. Like
hmm
as soon as I think like, oh, that was like a real like so I work psychodynamically, meaning that like I'm paying attention to like how I feel subjectively as I'm encountering the issues that my clients are bringing up. And so sometimes I'll get to a point where I think like, oh, I've worked through all of my issues related to X, Y, and Z. And then bam, like a new client comes along with a new thing that like I didn't even know, that I had something around that.
Yeah,
So it's sort of like this never-ending edge of learning, which if you're tired and exhausted, it can feel overwhelming. But
sure.
when you're resourced and you're rested, it's exhilarating.
For sure, for sure. It is like this, it's like the universe or something. Sometimes talking, you're like, oh gosh, yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing. And now I'm like,
Yeah,
gotta process that thing. I didn't know that
exactly. I
was
didn't even know that I needed to look at that.
a thing. Yeah, it's kind of the gift, I feel like, of being a clinician in some ways.
Yeah.
That constant learning, constant growing, constantly evolving as a human, not
Mhm.
only in the clinical work that we practice, but like individually as a
Mhm.
person, kind of what you're speaking
So,
to.
yeah, and I think that lifelong learning aspect of the work is like it's the antidote to the burnout,
Yeah,
right? We do see a lot of trauma, we see a lot of sad things. And so, but that ability to learn and grow and play, like I was talking about, is the kind of antidote to the hard part of the profession. Yeah.
for sure, for sure. So what do you wish or what would you hope that people understood about therapy?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think first of all that there are a lot of different types of therapy. So it just kind of you might want to know a little bit about what's out there as you pick an orientation. So like for example, like the way I work is really great for people who maybe had complex trauma when they were younger and they are seeking to have a fuller, experience in midlife or later life. And it's long term, right? Because if you've had adverse, events in earlier part of your life, that didn't happen overnight, right? So people have stayed in treatment with me for like 7 years at this point. Now, that's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people have very specific short-term goals that they want to achieve, and the way I work might not be a fit for them. So I guess sort of having a sense of like what your goals are in therapy and then how different therapists work in relation to that, I think is something that is not clearly evident to people when they get in psychology today, right? And then they're trying to make this impossible choice.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because I think, this is part of the reason too for some of these interviews is you get a better sense of who the clinician is and kind of how they think about clinical work. Because I think you mentioned Psychology Today, right? If you look at that, a lot of like I was reading mine recently and I was like, oh yeah, it sounds very similar to other people, right? Because there's this kind of this generic, you get like a high level, tell me about your practice in 300 words or less or whatever. You're
Right.
like, oh, okay, sympathetic, compassionate, whatever. It's like all the
Yeah.
buzzwords, right? And you don't get a flavor really of like how that is different. And I to your point, I think it's really important that people kind of shop around at the
Mhm.
beginning to figure out who is that good fit, what style resonates for them, so
Mhm.
that they do get the most out of their therapy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so final question in this area is, and you already mentioned one, but is there another tool that you would like to share with this audience that might be useful? The online sand trays. Amazing.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, that's because I was kind of staying in the fun zone. Well, I think one of the things that I've been realizing the longer I've been working is that there's a great value to motivational interviewing,
Mm-hmm.
which, I learned it initially when I was working at Curry Senior Center, very focused in a substance counseling program. But there's, as human beings, regardless of what we're dealing with, whether it's addiction or just life transitions or stress or parenting or, relationships, we have a lot of ambivalence. And I think people come to therapy because they're not able to resolve that ambivalence on their own. And so I really, the longer I work, the more I really realize is like to really hold that even though somebody might come in and they might be guns blazing saying this is what they want in their life, that the reason why it's not happening yet, I mean, there can be external circumstances, but in terms of what a therapist is dealing with, it's usually like what's on the inside, right?
Right.
So there's really not actual alignment, or like there's not agreement. And like when I was talking about dreams, I like to use active imagination, which is like probably similar to what people talk about as parts work.
Ah.
So when you're thinking about ambivalence, like in a motivational interviewing paradigm, um, you might want to interview different parts of someone's personality, because
Mm-hmm.
like maybe like 50% of them are on board for something, and then there's like this cohort of three of them that are like, hell no, we won't go. So you might want to develop a more direct line of communication and motivationally interview them to find out why they're not on board with the collective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Motivational interviewing actually hasn't come up, and you were doing a great job kind of speaking to what that is. But like high level, could you just give a high level for anybody who hasn't heard the term motivational interviewing, like what the concept is?
Yeah, let's see if I can do it. I mean, I don't train or anything
It's
like
tough,
that.
I know.
I'm not a certified trainer or anything like that. But the way I understand it is that like we all, can be failed changers. And so it's a paradigm for kind of looking at like where is somebody in the change process. So it goes from pre-contemplation to like action and maintenance of the change. And so the first level is to just sort of like get real about like, are you really thinking about a change, or are you really kind of like not wanting to address it yet, and acknowledging that you're not ready to do something yet? It can be very therapeutic, right?
Hmm.
And having somebody affirm like sounds like you're not ready to make that change, right? So you're placing somebody in that change uh, spectrum. But then once you kind of like know where they are in the spectrum, then there's different interviewing techniques that you can do to kind of like just bring them into more clarity around what their next steps might be, how much confidence they have about making the change, do they have all the resources they need to make the change, and how committed are they really to making that change? And just if that's reflected back to them, then they're in the driver's seat and
Yeah,
they can see more clearly their readiness to make change.
yeah, yeah. It's like a way to overcome the resistance to change by leveraging somebody's own personal kind of insights to what are they motivated towards, what are they
Yeah.
ready to take action
And
towards,
it's
or
great because you're not taking a position. Like say like somebody comes in and they have a relationship issue, and I could have all kinds of feelings about what they're telling me about their partner, but the bottom line is I don't know. I
right.
don't know if they should stay with that person or if they should, work it out or if they should step away from the relationship. But motivational interviewing keeps it completely in their domain about the choice they make. And you're
Mhm.
just reflecting back their ambivalence or their readiness to change.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I think you did a fantastic job.
Okay.
So thank you
Not
for,
like a test.
sorry,
No, it's okay.
totally not trying to make it a test.
No, it's great. No, we're playing.
Yeah. But just, sometimes these terms come up and I think it's helpful if anybody's listening and they don't know. So,
Yes, no, absolutely. I agree. No, it's clinical mind. Sometimes when you're talking to another clinician, you can make assumptions about what people know. So
right.
yeah, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, no, but I think you did a great job, just for the record. I do think you could probably teach it, it sounds like. You have a good understanding, better understanding than myself, quite honestly. So appreciate it. Okay, so Camille, that was our clinical questions. Are you ready to kind of pivot to a more kind of personal?
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it.
It's spirit of fun. So the first question is, what is making you happy right now?
Oh, laughing with you.
Yeah, all right, love it. Love that answer.
Love laughing. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, what's your favorite app?
Oh, my electric car charging app.
Oh,
Because I get so excited when when the car battery's all the way charged up.
nice. Does it take a while to charge? I don't have an electric car.
Yeah, at our house it's like a level 2 charger, so it takes, I don't know, overnight kind of.
Same.
I get like a little dopamine hit when it's all the way charged.
I love it. I love it. Okay, beach or mountains?
Oh, beach. But not like tropical, like
Oh, okay.
North Coast, rugged beach. Yeah.
Like cliffs and
Yeah.
big trees right up to the kind of
Yeah.
end there.
Eagle kind of above
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
nice. Nice. Love it. Okay, what is one thing that movies never get right?
Oh, well, I was gonna say it used to be female heroines, but I feel like they're getting it better
Fair.
now. I feel like there's a lot more really wonderful stories that have women heroines.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Sure. Yeah, I will tell you that the one of the themes that has come up in some of these interviews is therapy, that they never get therapy right.
Oh, I've been
Families.
watching Shrinking, and it's
Oh, that's
everything that you could do wrong.
it is. It
And
is.
they're doing it overtly, so it's funny.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think like it's like what you wish you could do, but it's
Yes,
like what I love is that they then show you like why you don't do that. Like,
yes. There's the backlash
right?
come in the show, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
client not sharing what she's actually doing, right? Because, you'd be upset that or the
Because he wasn't using motivational interviewing. He just told her she should leave her husband.
right,
You're not
right.
supposed to do.
Yeah. Well, and I do think that comes up a lot, right? Because people are like, just tell me what to do. And it's like, no, the whole point is to not tell you what to do so that you
Help
feel
you make
agents.
your own decision.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What is the best way to relax?
Oh, gosh, I think that's really personal, but for me, I like Shavasana.
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
I think you kind of have to do all of the other stretches beforehand to get the most out of it. But sometimes, honestly, like in between clients, I just lie in Shavasana on the ground in my office if I don't have a lot of time. And it definitely downregulates like the nervousness in my system.
Mm-hmm. And for people that don't know what it is.
Oh, sorry, this is from yoga. And it's the easiest pose in the world. You just lay on your back with like your hands up and your feet kind of tilting out. And it means I think it means corpse pose. So it's like you're
Oh.
just, laying there like you're dead.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
It sounds much better than
Shavasana sounds like a lot later.
that's great. Okay, what's a dream trip location for you? Somewhere you want.
Oh, wow. Oh man, where do I want to go? Hmm. I I'm torn on this one. I want to go. I want to. I want to go a lot of places.
You could have
Um,
more than one
I
answer.
think
That's
I could do. I loved it. I went to. There's places I haven't been that I want to go, but like I love Italy. I think that
fine.
like I would go back there
Uh-huh.
anytime I get the opportunity. Yeah.
Any like place like countryside versus city or all of the above?
Right. No, it was like kind of, I would want it to be like a little bit of Rome and then a little of maybe rural Tuscany,
Mm.
like a medieval village.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Maybe I went and saw Romeo and Juliet in Rome in Italian,
Oh, cool.
and they had thrown in like rave dancing in it. And I was just like, I love this. This is so great. Like I love Italian sense of like, I don't know, expression. I was like, who knew that there was a rave in
Right?
Romeo and
I
Juliet?
don't know.
Well, I don't speak Italian. I couldn't understand anything, but I knew the storyline.
Fair. That's awesome. Okay, what is advice you would give to your younger self?
Oh, wow. I mean, I think it would have been to trust my instincts and pursue that which affects me most more sooner and not give into the fear and risk of making changes. Yeah.
Yeah, love that answer.
Yeah.
A lot of fear holds a lot of people back. Certainly
Mhm.
can resonate with that. My younger self, certainly. Uh, okay, out of the four seasons, which one do you like the best?
Oh, huh. Um, hmm. They all have pluses and minuses, but I think the first thing that I thought was fall.
Mhm.
And I think it's because I associate it with like getting a new book bag and new books.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't really like at the end of it when it's like moving more into winter before all the lights are up. It can be kind of depressing. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess the beginning of fall.
Beginning of fall. Yeah, I like that. It's very nuanced.
Yeah, it's like sort of still summer.
Yeah, yeah. Just that like starting.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so what would be the worst superpower to have?
Oh, to be able to know what other people are thinking, as is evidenced by social media. Hello. We just don't need to know everything that everybody else is
Yeah,
thinking all the time.
yeah, yeah. Not all gems, but you were definitely in good company there because that's been like I think I hazard it's like 90% of all clinicians I've asked so far have said
Oh, really? I didn't even
reading.
skip a beat. I was like right away.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like there's got to be some sort of like clinical thing about that, right? We're all just like, nope, no mind reading. Okay. What is an animal that resonates for you?
Cat.
A cat. Oh, I love it. Why a cat?
Well, I have one. Uh,
There.
yeah, I don't know. There's something mysterious about them. There's something like regal and ancient and
Mhm.
but also like kind of independent.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I like cats.
Love it. Okay, so final question. If you look back at your life, what do you hope that you're going to be able to say someday?
Yeah, being right kind of like towards the heading into the second half of it, um, that I really like went for the things that I valued, that I didn't let perceived external obstacles hold me back from doing that which was really important to me. Yeah. Yeah.
I get that for sure. Well, thank you, Camille. You are now officially seen.
Thank you. It feels very good.
I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. And for anybody watching, I will have Camille's information in the notes of this so you can reach out if you'd like to reach out and discuss more. Camille, anything before we hop off here?
No, just thank you so much. And it was really fun and interesting to have a conversation with you. And I feel like it was time well spent.
Me as well. I truly appreciate it, Camille. All right. Thank you.